No, now we are.
Hey everybody, I'm about to get started, so I've already primed her face. So here we go. I mixed some shades and I'll show them to you right here. I like to use the Maybelline Fit Me, this one right here. And also Alex is videoing too, so that's probably why the camera's moving around some. And then I have Milani. I like this one a lot for full coverage. So I like to take this brush and go ahead and lay down the product. And when you're applying foundation, you always want to tap. You'd never want to rub. This also helps with the coverage of the foundation if you tap more so than just rub on there. Usually I do have to mix with everybody, but sometimes I will get the perfect shade. Lindsay, you didn't say hello.
Hi.
She said she wasn't nervous, but I think she's nervous now. Are you?
You shouldn't be talking.
So I like to work section by section. I feel like it blends out better if you do it that way. Foundation dries fast, and if you don't work section by section, then the blendability gets way harder than it would be if you just worked in sections. Lindsay, you got any questions?
No.
Alyssa Clear said, hey.
Hey!
Hey.
You gonna say hey to everybody? As they comment too?
Huh?
Alright, so I'm just gonna do the same thing to the other side. Have her turn her head. Let me know if my mom gets on there.
I'll tell Sherry, hey.
You always want to make sure that you blend it down the neck as well. Even if it is a perfect match, you still want to make sure that there's no difference between the neck and the face.
What foundation are you using?
It's the Maybelline Fit Me, and it's the matte and poreless. They have a dewy one, but I like to use the matte and poreless. It's good for all skin types, not just oily. It's also good for dry skin. And if you moisturize as well with this, if you have dry skin and you want to use this foundation, you can just moisturize and then lay it over top, and it won't be too matte. It won't make your skin look dried out. Alright, and once we got the foundation applied evenly, we'll go ahead and get started with concealer.
No foundation on the eyelids, and why?
I don't put foundation on the eyelids mainly because I go in with concealer, and when I go in with concealer, I use that to cancel out the redness and the veins in her eyes. And the reason I use concealer as opposed to foundation is because concealer tends to have more of like a durability as far as long lasting, and it doesn't crease as bad. But I'll show you when I get started on the eyes what I do to keep the concealer from creasing as well. And this concealer is also the Maybelline Fit Me line. And when picking a concealer, you don't want to use one that's the same color as the foundation because you also want to highlight under these areas. And I always do it in a triangle.
Let me see that.
I do it in a triangle shape, and this brings out and brings forward the inner portion or the center of her face. And then when we contour, we want to create a shadow. So I'll show you that as we get more into it. So you don't want to pick a concealer that's too light, because then it won't look as good and it won't blend together. You want to have some color and dimension to the face, and that's pretty much what concealer and contour does. And you want to have them look up as much as you can. And again, tap, 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 not drag. This cancels out any blue tones underneath the eyes. This concealer is really, really nice and affordable. alternative, but my favorite at the moment is the Tarte Shape Tape. I think I have it right here. It's this one. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite. It has the fullest coverage that I've ever used in a concealer, but this is a really, really good alternative that I'm using here. And it's only like $6, so.
I got it on Amazon for $3.
Well, $3 then if you were on Amazon.
Do you use the Beauty Blender dry or wet?
I use it wet. Okay, and then also going back to bringing forward the center of the face. So I like to use a concealer that's 2 shades lighter, no lighter than 2 shades, and no darker. So not the same color as her foundation. But I also like to bring forward the center of the forehead here. And then also the bridge of the nose. It's kind of like a nose job without the surgery. And then, and then the chin. And then also some on the Cupid's bow to go ahead and bring forward this area. Because full lips are in right now. Thanks to Kylie Jenner.
Lindsay needs all the help she can get.
Yeah.
You too.
Alrighty, and then also going back to what I said, close your eyes, about the concealer on the eyelids. And I'll show you and you'll see what a difference it makes with the concealer. See, she has the redness and stuff. So once I put this on there and blend it out, you'll see all that kind of vanish and go away. So go ahead and blend out this area. And you'll see me tap a lot. I never drag. So blend out all the areas that we've highlighted. And then these eyelids. Lindsay's got some mascara on her eyelashes still, and we tried to get it off as best we could. So if you're doing makeup on someone else, a good tip that I've learned just over this short period of time is if you have someone that's eyelids, they're not keeping on, I don't know the word, if they're not lifted like this and they have hooded eyes, if you'll just take your thumb and place it on their eyebrow and just lift just slightly. Don't pull, just lift, and it'll straighten out that eyelid space and create all this area, and you'll have no creasing on the eyes.
Scott said, hey.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Do you use the same beauty blender for foundation and concealer?
I do, and the reason for that is because the leftover foundation that is on the sponge, and this is not a beauty blender, by the way. Let me go ahead and tell you guys that. This is a L'Oreal sponge. Everybody on YouTube has been talking about it a lot, and I love it more than I do a beauty blender. And Real Techniques has a real good one too. But you got black all up under your eyes.
Why don't you take my mascara off?
But back to what she asked. I use this for both because when I do that, it has excess foundation on it. And what I like to do is use whatever's left of the foundation and just press it in with the concealer because it blends it better. It don't leave harsh lines when you do it that way. Alrighty? And this, guys, is the best powder at the moment. It makes it look like a filter on your face. I'll tilt it up as best I can so you guys can see that. It's the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. So I just pour quite a bit into the lid here. And then we'll make her look up. And we do this to make sure, again, no creasing. Because creases are not flattering. Keep looking up. And I'll take quite a bit on the sponge here. And I'll just place it right under that under eye. And I put a generous amount on there for 2 reasons. One, this is called baking, and this is the trend now, and it actually really does work. But it's for longevity of the makeup, as well as when I do her eyeshadow here in just a few minutes, if I have any eyeshadow or any pigment that falls down on her face, it won't mess up what I've already done. Because when I swipe away this powder with a brush, this loose powder will come off along with the eyeshadow that's falling down on her face.
I love this song. Makes me want to cry.
Is the powder the transparent color?
It's transparent, yes. So all the areas that we put that concealer, the lighter color, is where we're going to set with this lighter powder. And then we'll even do her eyelids as well. Make sure there's no creases in there. And the reason why we go ahead and set that concealer on the eyelids with this translucent powder is because when you put shadow on the eyelids, it helps the blendability. If you lay down a shadow right on a wet concealer on your eyes, it'll make the eyeshadow appear patchy, and you won't get the true ability of the eyeshadow. Alright, and sticking with the Maybelline Fit Me theme, I use this powder. I get a lot of questions about this. So for this powder and all over face powder, this can also be used as a foundation powder, which I sometimes just use by itself. This is going to keep her makeup on all day and mattify her face. And all the areas that we've highlighted, this is also the same color as her foundation. No lighter, no darker. And we're just going to put it on the perimeter and the remaining parts of her face that we haven't highlighted or laid down that translucent powder. So just make sure you avoid those areas. And another good thing about going ahead and setting the whole face is when you do that, we're going to apply more powders on top. And same thing with the eyeshadow that I was talking about when applying that translucent powder. If you go ahead and try to bronze or contour the face with no powder on top, it's going to cause your bronzer or your contour to go on patchy or maybe even darker than what it should. This just helps everything blend. And I like to use, this is a Real Techniques brush. Just get it from Walmart. It's a flat top brush. I love this even when I'm not wearing foundation, if I'm just wearing a foundation powder. And notice that I'm leaving this powder on her nose as well. And the reason why I do that is a lot of people tend to lose foundation on the nose area because maybe they touch throughout the day. So I like to leave that there, and that's just going to keep that on for longer. Alright, if I go out and quit talking for a minute, I have all my makeup on my makeup desk, and I'm just grabbing it in between. Alrighty, so this is what I wanted to talk most about because this is what I get the most questions on. So I have two brushes here. Contouring and bronzing are two different things. And that's, like I said, that's where I get all the questions. So this is a bronzer, and it's a L'Oreal bronzer. You can tell it's been used and abused. It's my favorite. I use it on everybody. So contour is creating a shadow. So you want to use more of a gray tone, not too gray, but a gray shadow color to contour. And let me grab that real fast. So this is an e.l.f. one, and I like it because it has a few different shades in it that I can use. I like to use this bottom shade here because it's not too warm and it's more of a cool tone, like I said. And this is a Morphe brush. I just got these thanks to my mother-in-law. She got them for me.
Shout out Christy.
Yeah. So there's this contour shade that I was talking about. So this is a contour shade. It's going to create our shadow under the chin, or the cheekbone here. Chin. So turn your face so everybody can see. So if she sucks in, go ahead and make a fish face. Alrighty. So when she sucks in, you can notice, if you do this yourself, you can notice that there's a little indentation here in the face. Okay? So in this indentation is where you want to put your contour, because we're wanting to lift these cheekbones and make them noticeable. So I'm just going to go in a circular motion here. Circular motions cause you not to have harsh lines. You don't want any harsh lines on your face. You can quit doing that. You can quit doing that now. So along with what I was talking about these different powders and the difference between contouring and bronzing, is the bronzer is an orange tone, and this is just going to warm up the perimeters of the face and give that dimension that I was talking about earlier. So we're just going to do a little bit. And once I'm only going to do one side right here for just a second and show you the difference that it makes, because I think that adding some color in makes all the difference. So I'm just going along. And if you hold your brush more on the edge instead of holding it like this is a neat little trick that I've learned too. If you hold it on the edge and have a light hand with it, you don't get harsh lines. You get more of an airbrushed look. Okay. Alrighty, so now that we got that color laid down, you should be able to tell a difference already if she looks straight ahead. Can you see anything? Any difference? Alrighty, so then we're going to go in. I like to use an angled brush for this because it kind of does the job for you. So I'm going to set this powder down. Now we're going to go in with the warmth. This is the warm shade, and like I said, this is the L'Oreal one. They have 3 different shades. I use the middle shade, and I think it is in the color medium 02, right there. Alrighty. So I get some on my brush, and then what I like to do is, this is just going to help blend out that contour as well. Still circular motions. And also with contour and bronze shades, you never want to go downward when you're blending. You want to go upward. If you go downward too much, it can make your face appear wider than it is. And we're trying to make your face look slim and bring those cheekbones forward. I like to use bronzer all over, not all over the face, but on the perimeters of my face. And then I also like to use it on my eyelids, which I'll show you as well. And here in a second, I'm going to take that same powder brush that we used and go over top and just kind of pat that out. And that will help blend and make everything seamless as well. So we're just going to do the same thing real quick to the other side. Circular motions, hand on the end of the brush. I think this is the quietest you've ever been in your life. I just want to say too, as an opportunity while I have people on here and actually listening to me, I made a post not too long ago about how appreciative I am for everybody this year, as this year's ending. I was a little scared to start doing makeup on other people because I know, that sometimes people have harsh opinions and I didn't want my feelings hurt, but I've gotten really positive feedback, and I've enjoyed getting to meet everybody that I've met and working with different types of people, and I've picked up a lot, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that you guys have given me an opportunity, everybody that's used me. I appreciate it.
Me now.
Yeah. I love doing it, that's for sure. And hopefully this video helps. So I'm just sort of buffing that out there.
Lindsay Claire said you always do so good.
Thank you. Who?
Lindsay Claire.
Alrighty. So a lot of people, Kim Kardashian has the whole do a 3, and it kind of makes sense because if you have a larger forehead, you want to apply more bronzer and more contour to the forehead to bring it down. If you have a smaller forehead, which she has, you want to apply less. So we're more or less just going to put some color on here for her. That way it gives that dimension that I've been talking about, and that way it just kind of makes everything else blend together. And it probably looks a little harsh right now, but like I said, here in a second, I'm going to take that powder brush that we used and go over top and blend everything together. So the 3 that I was just talking about is forehead, down, into the cheekbone, and then on the jawline. And the reason why we do on the jawline too, I don't do much because you don't want the difference in shadows or the colors there. But the reason why we do the jawline is because you've probably heard of a double chin, and this is supposed to hide a double chin, make you look like you have one chin.
So I have a double chin?
No, you don't. If you did, this would be a good treat. Alrighty, so now that that's done, we're going to take this this powder brush, and I'm going to go over top here, and I'm going to pat. I'm not going to rub. I'm just going to pat over all that to make it less harsh, to make sure everything is blended together. And notice I still have that powder under her eyes. I'm leaving that for shadow. I am going to go over now her nose and go ahead and kick some of that powder off. This way I can contour her nose, and this is the second most asked question is how I do this as well, so I'll show you guys. So the easiest way to do it is to take an eyeshadow brush is what I like to do. It doesn't really matter what color you use for this. You can use the contour shade or you can use this because it needs to give color to the face anyways. But I like to take it right here. You might see a harsh line to begin with, but that's okay because I'm going to blend it out. So like I said, I use an eyeshadow brush, kind of a dome end brush for this. And I like to go down the sides of the nose. And this is just going to bring that bridge forward and kind of make her nose appear thinner. So right there on the nostrils. And then we like to get the tip here to make it appear like a button nose. Push it up a little. And then I like to do right here. Hope I'm not blocking you guys. Right here on the bridge. No more questions?
No.
Everybody's listening.
Alrighty. So you can even take some of that powder if you feel like you've lost some of the highlight and just kind of go right there on the bridge and right here on the tip. And then also I like to sweep it on the rest to kind of go ahead and blend that out some. Okay. Alrighty. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to do some blush. Looking gorgeous. Alrighty, this next blush, so if you're looking for a good blush that has a lot of pigment for pretty cheap, this Wet n Wild blush, it's kind of one of their older ones. I think it's pearlescent pink.
I use this one.
Yes, this stuff is like $3.
Highly recommend.
It's really good. It's pigmented, which is okay. You just got to tap your brush in there and then kind of tap it and make sure. You can hit the back of your hand some to kind of get some of that color off. But I recommend these blushes here if you're looking for a cheaper alternative.
Brittany John said I love you.
Love you, Britt. It kind of has a little bit of a sheen and shine to it too, which is good. Gives a youthful appearance. Like that word?
Ashley Birch said I'm waiting for eyeshadow eyeliner. I have hooded eyes, so it's hard to find ways to keep it lasting without it looking like mud when I get home.
All right, let me just go ahead and talk about hooded eyes because I get a lot of questions about that too while I'm finishing up the face. With blush as well, let me go ahead and add, if you want to do a daytime look, I'm going to try to keep it more on the naturalist side. But if you're doing a daytime look and you just want some color to your face, apply blush to the apples of the cheeks more than taking it all the way back. If you take it all the way back, it's more of an evening look, which is what I normally do anyways because I feel like it blends and gives more color. But if you're just wanting something natural and some color, just pop it on the cheeks right there, right on the apples of the cheeks. And talking about hooded eyes are really not that hard. Once you realize that when you put on eyeshadow, what you want to do, let me go ahead and get a transition shade going here so I can show you. There's that Morphe palette. Sorry. So I'm using a Morphe palette. I got this on their website for I think like $22, and it has a ton of colors in it. If you can see those. I love this palette. Hold that for me. So I'll hold it up and show you what color I'm going to use. So for transition, what you want to do is you want to find a color that's only a couple shades darker than her skin tone. And this transition is just going to help all the other eyeshadows that we lay on top blend so that there's no harsh lines.
So that's the color that we use?
Yes, this one here. I like to go for a warmer shade too because my favorite thing to do is warm tone looks. And when I'm doing that, this just tends to help blend everything and stick with the warm tone theme.
Jennifer John said fire, looking great.
I'm looking
with the
fire.
white powder on her face too. Alrighty, so hooded eyes, what I was talking about with hooded eyes, when you do makeup, because I have hooded eyes too, so I've just kind of learned what suits me best for this. So with hooded eyes, go ahead and look at the camera. She has hooded eyes as well, and what I mean by hooded eyes is, that's not a bad thing. What I mean by hooded eyes is her brow bone covers the majority of her eyelid. So what you want to do to make your eyes appear larger and more open is apply that transition and apply all your shadows. Go ahead and close your eye. You want to apply it so that when she opens her eyes, that you can actually see that color coming out from her eyelid. So go ahead and open again. So see that little bit of transition I got there? I don't know if it's picking up on camera.
Yeah, you can see it.
So when she opens her eyes, you want to make sure that that color is not going to be hidden. So you want to apply it a little bit above the crease, and that will make her eyes appear more open. So I'm just going to lay down a little bit more. This also gives a lot of dimension to the eye, and appear like it makes it, like I said, look a little bit larger.
So you're not putting it all over, you're just putting it basically on the top.
No, I'm not putting it all over, and I'll tell you because if I put it all the way all over her eyelid, it's going to close off this inner portion, and I like to go in with a lighter shade in the center here. And the reason I like to do that, again, is to make her eyes appear more open and not closed off. When you do a smoky eye, when I do smoky eyes on other people, I still tend to put a little bit of a shimmer shade right here in the inner portion, and that's just going to keep the eye open and not make it appear dark and closed off. So I'm just making sure I got this laid down here. And again, with holding the brush at the end, if you use a lighter hand, it makes it look more seamless than airbrush because we don't want harsh lines. And notice I'm not taking it all the way up to the brow bone. I'm taking it pretty far because, like I said, she does have hooded eyes, but I'm not taking it all the way up to her eyebrow. Alrighty. So next what we're going to do is I'm actually going to do a little bit of a darker shade on her now. So next shade we're going to use, let me see here. Probably go in with this one here. It's just a little bit of a darker brown, warm tone. Can you see that?
Oh. I was going to get closer.
This one right here is the one we're using. So the way to do eyeshadow is you want to start with the lightest color as your transition, and then to give depth and to make it blend easier, you want to go in with a darker color next. Not your darkest color, but just a shade darker than the other one. And we're actually going to take this one a little lower, so more in the crease area. And notice I grab my brush more toward the end because I'm wanting to apply a little more pressure to help the color go on better and darker. Let me know too if the lighting is working for you guys. We thought that it looked pretty good. When I did the one in my closet, the lighting was pretty bad because I was in my closet. So we tried with this one. Let me know if you guys can't see and we can try to adjust. But notice here, like I said, I'm just taking it down a little further. And I have different size brushes for each step that I do. This one's just a little bit smaller and more dense than this one that I used a minute ago. How's that looking, Alex? Is it going
Jennifer
good?
Jones says the lighting seems good.
Okay, good.
You can see it, so.
Okay. So now I've laid down this color, and what I'm going to do next, you'll see me going back to this brush. The brush that we laid down the transition with is a more, it's not as dense. It's a lighter brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, if you feel like your line is too harsh, you can always go in with that transition shade again and kind of hit the edges and just blend out some more. We were going to do half her face and leave the other half bare to do like, I've seen a Power of Makeup video before and I kind of wanted to try it. If you guys would be interested in seeing another video, just shoot me a text or comment on the video and let me know because I love doing these. It takes me a minute to where I'm not nervous, but I actually do enjoy them. So I'm just evening out here.
Hey, Sherry.
She on there?
Yep.
Hey, Sherry.
Took her long enough, yeah.
I mean, only like an hour later. She's probably cussing at me.
So while my mom's on there, I wanted to go ahead and mention that I thank my parents a lot too for this because it's helping me put together a place to actually start getting people in and working in my house a little bit with this makeup room.
The makeup room is awesome, by the way.
Show them the mirror.
Yes, the mirror is like...
So my brother-in-law can build just about anything. His name's Blake Rainey. And he built this
He's
here.
also single. So
Lindsay, he'll kill you. Anyways.
And then her cute little futon over here.
Futon.
So, yeah, he built that, and I'm in love with it because I get a bunch of girls in here that are wanting to put their dresses on and see what they look like at the end, and they're kind of like kneeling down in my little LED light mirror there, and they can't see the full body. So he was nice enough to build that and give it to me for Christmas, so I appreciate that. I'm in love with it.
Waldrop said good job.
Thank you.
Who?
Mona. It's one of my mama's buddies. They've been lifelong friends.
Yeah, well.
Alrighty, so now I've darkened up that crease the way I want it to give dimension. And again, open up your eyes. So see that? I kind of placed it a little bit lower than the transition, but I've added depth, and you can still see when she opens her eyes that I've darkened it, but in the crease area. So I kind of made her crease kind of like a faux crease, and made it appear higher than it is, and that'll help with the hooded eyes. So I'm just taking a little more of that transition shade. Close your eyes. On the larger brush, and I'm going to hit the edges here, make sure I got it all blended out. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do next is I'm going to take another brush here.
I'm going to sleep on my back tonight, so I'm going to have to take my makeup off for it tomorrow.
So this is more of a compact brush, and it's more of a flat top brush too. I'm going to use it to pack on the color on the outer portion, the outer V of her eye. And the reason why we do it in a V is to elongate and pull out the eye. And I'll show you. And with dark colors, it's a little tricky. And I had to learn this as well. And especially if I'm in a hurry, I was using this color right here, the one that's been really used. So I pack it on this brush, tap off the excess. And what I was going to say about these colors is the darker colors you want to apply lightly, and you want to take your time. You don't want to go in with a ton of product on your brush, a darker shade, and apply it to the eye, because it's going to take you longer to blend and it's going to be harder to blend. So I just like to lay down a little bit of color, not too much.
Tasha Clear said always doing a stunning job.
Thank you. So see that color there? I've laid it down, and then the darker shade is going to go a little bit lower than that crease shade. It's not going to go all the way up to the transition, just right there in the outer edge. And then I like to take my transition brush that has the transition shade and just kind of blend that out there.
Veronica said, which palette is that? The 35M?
No, it's the 35O palette. It's got the shimmers and mattes in it. Alrighty. So here, Maybelline has some quads out now. They have some really good quads out. Their eyeshadows have never really been that great. But here lately, they've been stepping it up, and I've used a couple of them. I don't have them personally, but I've used a couple of them, and I really, really do like them. A lot of them are just shimmer shadows. They don't really have a transition shade. That's another thing that I need to mention too while I'm at it. When you're putting a transition shade in your crease area, you never want to apply into the crease a shimmer shade. You want to keep that matte. So again, I'm going in with that transition shade brush that I used, blending out the edges. Just going to add a little bit more, and notice how I said that add a little bit of a time at a time instead of just going straight in, because the blend of it will be a lot easier. Going back in with that brush. It takes a little bit more time, but it's more flattering in the end. What kind of look you want to do, Lindsay? If anybody has a certain shade that they want me to use on the lid, go ahead and comment now and let me know while I'm finished blending this out, and I'll do it. Do you want to see glitter? Do you want to see like a half cut crease, or do you just want to see something natural? Let me know if you have anything real quick. And if not, then I'll just go with the flow.
If not, we can do the cut crease.
You want to do a cut crease?
If nobody else says anything.
Alrighty. We'll be on here a lot longer.
Well, then we'll go ahead
That's
and
okay with everybody though. You think?
do a half cut because I'm not sure what that is.
Okay. Who said that?
Veronica.
Okay. Alrighty. So I've got that dimension laid down there. And once I put on the lid color, I'll go back in and add a little bit more. I just wanted that base laid down there. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more of that powder, since we just said we're going to do some sparkle and a half cut crease. I'm going to add a little bit more of this powder on the outer edge here, just to make sure that we get no fallout or glitter on the face, because glitter can be hard to take off. And also a good trick, I love this Eco Tool sponge because it has the flat edge on it, and you can really define this outer line here. See that? Turn your head and look toward me. See how I just define that slightly? I like to do that every now and then. Okay, so I've added that. Now what I mean by a half cut crease, let me go ahead and find a flat brush here and I'll show you. I'm going to go around here to this side and get a flat brush. Alrighty, so to do a half cut crease, what I mean by a half cut crease is cutting out the crease is just pretty much defining the crease and making a new crease. And since she has hooded eyes, I'm not going to stick to her natural crease. I'm going to go a little bit above to make her eyes appear larger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some concealer and I'm just going to carve out this eyelid. A whole cut crease would be the whole eyelid. It would be complete eyelid, the whole eyelid, and then you'd have darker colors in the crease. But since I'm doing a half, I'm just going to carve out this area and then I'm going to stop. So I'll go ahead and show you that. I'm using concealer. I'm going to go ahead and use the Tarte Shape Tape, if I can get it out. Probably mix a little bit because I'm almost out.
Uh-oh.
Actually, I think I'm going to use the glitter glue that I have. I think that'll work better than trying to do concealer. You can use either or, but with the glitter that I'm going to put on her face, I'm going to go ahead and use glitter glue, and you can use this to go ahead and cut out the crease as well.
Where can you get?
So this is NYX glitter primer. A lot of people prefer this over high end. I know House of Lashes has their own glitter glue, but it's expensive. This I think was like $5. So I just like to put it on the back of my hand here.
Where is this located at?
You can get it at Walgreens or CVS. That's where I get most of my makeup from. And this is a Real Techniques brush. All my brushes are affordable as well. So I like to take that on the flat end here. Just to get a generous amount on there. You don't want to have too little. And then I'm going to start right here and go ahead and lay it down where I want it. And then I'm going to take right along this edge. And remember what I said about pulling up the eyelid? And I'm just going to start defining that. And see how I'm getting a sharper line. And then pull it down. And it's okay if you mess up on this. You can always fix it. It's just makeup. It doesn't have to be perfect either. I just like to lay it down there. And then I'm going to kind of feather out the edge here to help blend. See that there? Go ahead and apply it. Lift up that eyelid. Try not to use too much of this glitter glue, because if you do, it'll get chunky, and you don't want it to get chunky because the texture will show up on your eyelid. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. And like I said a minute ago, once I get the glitter laid down, I'll go in the crease and darken it up. I just didn't know what look we were going to go for on here. And that's what I mean by half cut crease. See, I only went kind of a little bit more than half, but I'm leaving that outer edge there. I'm leaving it open for the darker shadow. And you want to make them as even as you possibly can. And feathering out that edge there. Look at me. And a little bit more to this side. Alrighty. So once you got that laid down, I'm going to to take the same brush and just use the other side of it. And I like to use this glitter again by NYX. NYX is a really, really good brand. So I like to take it and pour some into the cap. It's kind of a mess. Glitter is a mess to work with, but luckily we have that translucent powder there that's going to catch a lot of it. I like to take a good amount in the cap. It's a really pretty bronzy shade.
Yeah, now you can see it's focusing.
Yeah, this is my favorite shade. Alrighty, so I take the opposite end of the brush, and then I like to dip in there, get a good bit on the brush there. Hey, Caitlin. Close your eyes.
Caitlin who?
Eating.
Alrighty, and then keep your eye closed for me. So wherever I put on that glitter glue, I'm just going to pack this glitter on there.
Faith Hackman said good job.
Thank you. So keep on applying it until you get it the way you want it, and make sure that there's no sparse areas. And also a good trick that I've learned using these glitters is if you have a lighter shade of glitter, say like a silver or a white icy shade, go ahead and apply a shadow, like a light eyeshadow, maybe like the gray tone of the glitter that you're using. And when you do that, if you do have any sparse areas, you won't be able to see them. They won't show up as much, and they won't stand out because you'll have that same color underneath it there. And I don't know if you guys noticed the glitter that's falling on her face. That's fine. That powder is catching it, and as soon as I remove that powder, everything goes smoothly. It should come off with the powder.
Faith said you should YouTube.
I want to really bad, but
She gets nervous.
I get nervous. And I know that you can edit with YouTube, but I like doing live ones because then you actually, you know, if I mess up, it's more relatable because I'm not going to get all the words, you know, exactly right all the time. It's just more relatable to me to do it this way. But eventually I would like to start a YouTube channel. It's kind of been one of my dreams.
She said you got this.
Alrighty, so I've kind of applied that there. I'm going to grab a little bit more in my little cap here. And once I tie in that darker color a little bit more on the edge, it'll all start coming together. And too, with these looks, it's essential. I don't know if I'll add lashes. Some people, I might, because a lot of people have questions on how to apply them. But lashes tie a look together for any event. So this might look a little out there right now. I said I was going to do a natural look, but leave it to Lindsay, and I'm putting glitter all over. So.
I didn't say you had to.
Faith said, I'll support you. I'll go live on Meet Me and stuff. And then Deborah said, hey, Kara.
Hey, Deb. Alrighty, so look at me. Alrighty, so I got that on there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into this shade here. Show them this shade, Alex. So this shade that we used in the crease, I'm going to grab some more of that, and I'm going to go right, let me use a different one. I'm going to use my smaller brush. Go back into that shade, and then right here on the edge up here, I'm just going to define that a little bit more because we kind of lost some of that color up there. Alrighty. And then I'm going to take this again, and I'm going to go up over it, give some more depth back into the eye. Alrighty. And also notice too that when she opens her eyes, you can see the glitter while her eye is open, and that comes from me creating my own crease. I put it above her crease because she has hooded eyes, so if I were to put it in her actual crease, you wouldn't be able to see it because her eyelids, her eyebrow bone covers her eyelids there. So by adding it more up, you can see it with her eyes open.
Next, we're gonna go get some eye surgery done.
No. Alrighty, so we kind of lost some color on the outer edge, and to help blend a little bit more, I'm just going to add some more of that darker shade in the V here.
Oh, excuse me.
She yawns a lot. Even when she's not bored, she yawns a lot.
I'm just a sleepy person.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about some stuff that'll help, some tricks, just that I've learned. if you have an eyeshadow that's not very pigmented, like a shimmer shade, I'm gonna wait on her to chill. Yeah. So I'm gonna I done forgot what I was saying from you yawning. Anyways, if you have a shimmer shade that's not picking up very much pigment, you can take and wet your brush. I like to use my setting spray, but if you take your brush and wet it under water or anything that you have, it'll intensify that shade.
Is this your setting spray?
Yeah, they won't see it.
Yeah, that's great.
So I stick with the Maybelline theme. I really like Maybelline's products. They've kind of stepped up their game here lately, and I've been really liking their stuff. That one's a really good one. I have used the Urban Decay All Nighter, but to be honest, a setting spray, they essentially all do the same thing. And All Nighter is really expensive, and so is the MAC Prep and Prime. It's all really expensive, and to me, I'm going to spray it on her face, and it's going to do the same thing that Maybelline one's doing, and it runs out so fast. So this is a cheaper alternative that I like to use. I'm going to do more of these too, so if anybody, I think Alex is next, but if anybody wants to volunteer to be in one of these videos and let me do some magic on their face, I say magic, but wants to let me play, then just comment and let me know. So I'm still just defining that outer edge there. And notice with that transition shade being up there, all these colors are kind of blending into it. There's no harsh lines. Alrighty, so let me see that. Open your eyes. Okay. And then once I put an eyeliner over it, it'll hide any area of her eyelid down there at the root of the eyelashes. So I've got that on there.
Faith said no yawning, it's addictive.
I can't help it.
Lindsay Claire said I will let you.
Okay.
And Faith, if you want to do it on her one day.
Alright. I'll get with you guys. Alrighty. So I'm going to move on and work on something else real quick. I'm just going to get another powder brush. And see all this glitter, what I was talking about earlier. What we're going to do is I'm going to take this brush here and I'm just going to kind of wipe it away. See that? It's all going underneath her eye there. And this powder highlights as well, which is really good. Kind of gets rid of that glitter. So see, there's more fallout there. Just going to remove that.
Ashley said I'd have to find a day I could break away from my 3-year-old, but I'd love to.
Alrighty. Just tap that in. Alrighty, so then I'm going to take and I'm going to work on the under eye. So I'm going to have her look up, and everything that we did on the bottom here, or on the top, I'm going to do on the bottom. So I'm going to take this darker shade that we've been using, tap off the excess. Or the excess, I say access. I'll probably get that from my mama. Anyways, she's going to look up, and then right here on the outer edge, I'm just going to kind of put that there. And I'm using like a flat end. I've had this brush for so long, I don't even know what brand it is, but I use it for everything. Going to get this outer edge, doing the same thing to both eyes. Alrighty, and then what we're going to do is, that looks harsh right now, so we're going to take the transition shade that we used and mix it with a little bit darker one. Okay, and we're going to go a little bit below that darker shade there, just to help blend it out. And see, it kind of blends it and makes it not as harsh. And when you mess up too, it's not a huge deal. You can always fix it. It's just makeup. So, grab some more, turn her head, go underneath. And see, we're kind of sticking with the color theme here. I like to take and do a neutral eye on top sometimes, and then take like a real bright, like this bright orange here, or a shade like that little red there, I like to take it and pop it on the lower lash line to add some color to it. I think that that's really pretty. Or take like an electric blue color. I think that's really pretty. Kind of brightens up the look. Okay, and notice that I left the inner portion bare. And that is because I'm going to take a highlight shade. And I'm going to grab it on this brush. And I'm going to go underneath her eye here. And notice it gives some shine. And this, again, is just going to open up her eye and not close it off since we got a bunch going on with the glitter up above it there. Kind of blend that in. I use my fingers a lot too. Okay. So we got that laid down. And then I like to take a pencil brush, if I have one in here somewhere. Okay. So I like to take a more dome brush, one like this one. Take that shimmer shade again. And this is what I was talking about. You can spritz your brush with the setting spray. You can take your setting spray and just kind of hit the brush a couple times with it. Apply some more to the brush. And then open your eye for me. And see, that just highlights that inner corner there and keeps it open. Is it picking up on camera?
Yeah.
This is a good trick that I like to do on everybody, just like I said, to open up the eye, kind of blend it in there. We went bold for a first time on somebody else, didn't we? We went in, we didn't play.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. You are testing me, aren't you?
Just a little.
Lindsay wasn't holding back. Yep, do the cut crease. Do the hardest thing that there is to do with eyeshadow. I don't mind. Glitter's my favorite thing to work with. And then also this shade, again, that we just used, I'm going to take it on the brow bone to bring that brow bone forward. And go right there. Just above that transition shade. Alrighty. I'm not going to do her waterline. I'm not going to put anything in it because I don't want to be poking her eye in this video because it's not fun to watch. But if I were going to, with this look, since I said we have so much going on the top of her eye, I would normally use a nude color eyeliner in the waterline just to keep the eye open again. So next thing we're going to do, trying to move along so this video is not like terribly long. I know it already is. I'm going to wipe away some of this foundation that's on my hand too. Let me know if y'all have any questions, if I'm not explaining it well, if I need to do something else that you guys want to know about. Alrighty. So her eyebrows, we give her the hardest time about her eyebrows because she's blonde-headed, really blonde-headed. She does have eyebrows, but you can't see them. And with her, if you're blonde-headed, I don't use brow products. That's another thing about me. I won't buy a separate brow product when I feel like eyeshadows can do the same thing. I can draw on an eyebrow, I can fill in eyebrows, and as soon as I lock it with that setting spray, your eyebrow stays in place all day. So I like to take, let me see if I have one. Yeah, this one right here. So for a blonde, you want to add more of a taupe shade. So it'll be this shade. I don't know if you can really see. It's more of this taupey shade here. So I like to take it on an angled brush. I like to use one that has a spoolie, that way I can kind of brush out so there's no harsh lines on her eyebrows. So I like to take here, and I start on the outer edge to define this, the wing part, the tail they call it, of her brow. I just like to define that and see how it gives a little bit more. It makes her eyebrow wider and it frames the face better as opposed to this eye here. So we've just added that. I like to lay that down first, and then what I like to do next is I like to start on the inner portion here, and I just kind of draw a straight line from the inner portion of her brow and bring it underneath. So with her, I don't really have to draw on her brow as much as I just have to fill it in, because she has a really nice brow, but she just, it's sparse, and like I said, it's hard to see. So we're just, we're just going to pretty much darken that up and make it more her hair color, the root. So, and then we're going to do the same thing to the top. And again, if you feel like you need more of a brow, you need a thicker brow, just take those lines. Say if you were missing areas down here, you're just going to draw that line wherever you want your brow to start. And then on the top, do the same thing. So if you want a thicker brow, which is what I'm doing right here because she needs a little bit more of an arch, I'm just applying that into the arch to kind of give it some shape.
These are my natural blonde too.
It's really hard to find a shade that works for blondes, but I found this one just from working with Lindsay. I use this on just about every blonde because I think that the color matches pretty well. I don't know how it picks up on camera, but I think this shade matches pretty well with her hair color. If you use an individual brow product, there's usually 3 shades. There's a taupe, there's a medium brown, and a dark brown. Well, none of those really work for her, other than this eyeshadow shade that I called taupe, but it's a little lighter than a taupe shade. It's not as cool toned. So,
Ashley said I have to dye my eyebrows with my hair.
yeah, a lot of people do that. I probably should with mine too, but I don't. So this eyebrow was missing a little bit of an area down here, so what I like to do is I just drew that on, went ahead and put her tail on there. See, I started on the bottom, so I just defined the brow. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, and then the top portion here. This live video is the quietest live video that I think I've ever not watched, but been a part of, because usually people are like firing questions. Maybe that means I'm doing a good job and they don't have any questions.
You're explaining good.
Okay, good. So notice how it's harsh right there. It's because I have a lot of that shadow there. So what I was talking about the spoolie is I just like to take it and kind of brush it through and see how it blends that shadow more into her hairs there. It just helps it blend. So I'm going to go on top. And then on this inner portion, I just like to brush upward. You want to do hair-like strokes. You don't want to do like long. It's easier if you do short strokes because you have a tendency to not mess up if you do it that way. Then the inner portion, you just want to push up.
Faith said you're looking pro.
I hope. Alrighty, so I just added that. Lindsay doesn't like a real heavy brow. She doesn't like a dark brow either, which I'm not a real big fan of either. But she doesn't like her brow to be too drawn in or too harsh, which is fine because I think that natural brows actually look better than real drawn in and defined brows. She likes it like, well, you don't have a mirror, I'd show you. But she likes them to be more on the natural side is all I'm trying to say. Alrighty, so we got that done, and now I'm going to go back to the face for a minute now that we have a little bit of the eyes done. Alright, so notice on that under eye area where we left that powder on, like I said, you just got to work with it and go with the flow. So it's a little bit white. It left a little bit of a white cast, which it normally does because it's made to brighten, which I'm okay with. What I do is I take that powder brush that has a little bit of the remaining powder from her face color, and I like to just tap in there. So if you ever put a concealer on that you feel is too light, or if you feel like you've put a bronzer or a contour on that's too harsh or too dark, all you have to do is go back in stippling motions on top of that, and it'll kind of blend everything together and make it more seamless. So look this way. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference that it's made just blending that in some. Yeah, I hear it. So I feel like we've lost a little bit of color. What was the question?
What powder did she use? This is the powder that she used under the eyes.
It's a loose setting powder. I said that one was in the color Fair. I'm pretty sure it is. It only comes in like 3 or 4 different shades. You want to get the lightest shade to set under the eyes because you don't want to lose that brightening that we did there. So I feel like she lost a little bit of a color as I was doing that. So like I was talking about when I was talking about contouring the forehead, what you want to do is, say if she has a shorter forehead, I'm going to apply less. So what I mean by less is you always want to apply it on the temples. Do it in the 3 shape. Apply it on the temples to make the face appear more narrow. Excuse me. And then for a wider forehead, what you want to do is you apply more. And what I mean by more is not right here on the temples. I mean that you need to bring it along the hairline. And by doing this, when you bring it along the hairline, it shrinks the forehead and makes it appear shorter and smaller. I don't really have to do that with her as much. I just like to go ahead and hit it just a tad. That way all the colors blend together. Blend this down. I think I'm only going to do just a little bit of liner. I'm not going to wing it out just for the sake of this video being an hour long. Okay?
Unless anybody wants to see the winged look.
I can if anybody wants to see it.
That's the hardest thing for me.
The wing?
Yes.
Yeah. Just looking at you.
And if I make a weird face with my mouth, because I'm trying not to yawn.
I don't know why she yawns so much. She literally yawns more than any human. Okay, and another trick that I like to do is sometimes to add more color and dimension to the face, I like to take, I'm waving this brush in front of y'all, but sorry, I talk with my hands. So I like to take this blush color and just kind of hit it on the nose to give her a little bit of a natural color. A little bit of a fresh look, along with all the glitter that she's got going on. Alright, and now the most famous part of this whole entire video is the highlight. I have 2 different brushes that I like to use for this. What? Alrighty, so another thing about highlight is, same thing with shimmer eyeshadows. If you feel like your highlight is not intense enough, then you can spritz your brush with that setting spray I have. Can you hand it to me, Alex? Is it behind you? Oh, it's right here. So what you can do, I feel like this highlighter is intense enough by itself. This is not necessary with this highlight, but you can tell I've used it a ton and the package is broken. I've dropped it a million times from traveling with it. But this is Wet n Wild as well. I get a lot of questions about this highlight after I apply it on someone. I'll show you the color. They have it in a few different colors. This is the more pinky tone, which I would use for a lighter and more fair skin tone. If you're a darker complexion, you want to go with a more gold-based highlight. And the reason for this is you don't want to have a stark highlight or a harsh highlight right here. You want it all to kind of blend in seamlessly. And picking a shade that's your skin tone and looks best with your skin tone will help you in that. So for her, she is a little bit more fair. So I'm going to take this highlight, and this is in the shade, let's see.
Precious Petals.
Precious Petals, yep. 32 1B. And like I said, they have a few different shades. So go ahead and come back for me. And I'm going to go ahead and spritz the brush just so you guys can see it. There's 2 that I like to use. I use this one right here for all over the top of the cheekbone, and then I'll hit the top of the cheekbone again on the very, very top portion of the cheekbone, just in the center to intensify. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to wet the one that we're going to use on top. So I go in with this and I get a pretty good amount on there. You probably can't see anything, but I'm going to have her turn her face. And this highlighting the cheekbone is just going to do the same thing that we did with contouring. It's just going to bring that cheekbone forward, and it's going to give more of a cheekbone appearance. Okay, so we're just going to, and like I said, I'm going to kind of go in lightly with it to begin with, and you should already be able to see that. Is it picking up?
Yeah, a little bit.
What about now?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have her tilt her head down. Alrighty, and so when I apply this, I like to go right here, kind of like at an angle from her pupil over eye. I don't like to bring it all the way in, because we're just trying to bring that cheekbone forward.
Cheryl said that looks great. You did an awesome job.
Thank you. So I'm going to add some more to this side. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like I said, this brush right here is just to lay down the color. And I also like to take it up a little bit just to help blend. So I take it up the side some. That way we don't have just a stark line like I was talking about earlier. Alrighty, and then the brush that I sprayed, I'm going to go ahead and apply some of the highlighter on here. And I'm going to take the very top portion here, just the very top, and apply that there. And that's just going to intensify it a little bit more. A little trick that I've learned too about highlight is you don't even have to use a highlight shade. Like, you don't have to use an actual highlighter if you don't want to, or you don't have a highlighting shade. You can pick an eyeshadow that's closer to your skin tone and it has a shimmer to it, and you can actually use it and it works just as well. And what I mean by that, I'll show you. This Infallible right here, if I can't find my highlight and I'm in the middle of trying to hurry and get through with somebody, this is from L'Oreal. I like to use it as a highlight, and it'll look good with this. I actually like to mix them too, so I'll just go in here and swirl in my brush. This is intense, so I'll just go over top there. That intensified it, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing to the other side. So that just goes to show you that if you don't have this stuff, you don't have to go out and buy every single thing. That's my one thing of why I want to start a YouTube channel is I feel like so many people are caught up in, well, I have to use Kylie Cosmetics $360 makeup brush set, or I have to use a $65 Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette, and you don't. I just like to use stuff that's everybody can go out and afford and can buy. So now on to the nose. So just like we contoured the nose, I'm going to add the highlight to the nose to bring out the parts forward that we wanted to. So we contoured the side, and you're going to take your brush right here, and you're going to go down the bridge, and this is just going to bring this more forward. I don't know if you can see. Add a little bit more just so it picks up on camera. Alrighty, and to create that button nose more, we're going to add some, skip this part right here because that's going to help lift up her nose some. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit the tip here. Is it picking up, Alex? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to hit the tip. Alrighty. And to help, we're going to go right here above the eyebrow. Okay, and this is going to help the arch of her eyebrow and make it look more defined and make it look like she's kind of gotten a facelift, which she does not need. I'm just saying. Alrighty, and to give more of a fuller lip and a more full appearance here, I'm going to hit the Cupid's bow. I don't take it all the way up to the arch, or I just put it on the arch. I don't put it right here. I just kind of put it right here on the top of the lip. Alrighty. Just going to make sure I got it everywhere I want it. Looks good. And another little trick that I like to do, I'll go ahead and show you guys this while I'm at it. I like to take that contour shade, or even the bronze shade will work, because that's what I grabbed first. So I like to take it, hit it with my contour brush, and then also to give the appearance of a fuller lip, I do this trick a lot, hit under that bottom lip there. And it'll kind of give dimension to the lip, and I'll blend it out here in a second, but it'll make the bottom lip appear fuller, and this highlight will make the lip, you'll have a more defined arch there, which ultimately makes the lip look fuller as well.
Monica said she's looking so good, Kara. Victoria said, love the way you did the eyeshadow.
Thank you.
And Faith said the shimmer's picking up the pink from her coat
on
her nose.
Oh, well, that could be a good thing then. It might mean it's showing up.
You can see it.
Alrighty, what do we want to do next? Okay, so one more trick that I was going to make sure that I did not leave out this time is with her contour. Notice I said that you don't want to take it down too far. And what I mean by that is, like, you don't want to make her face appear wider than it is. And bringing that down too far will do that. So if you ever go too far, don't think that you messed up, because that doesn't mean that you messed up. You can fix it. So I'm going to take this powder that I used under the eyes, that Maybelline Fit Me powder. I'm going to take, this is why I love this brush, or this sponge, by the way. So this edge, the sharp edge, I take some powder on it, on the sharp edge. Lindsay's on her phone.
Sorry.
Snapchatting away.
I'm trying to get you more people.
I'm going to turn her head around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this edge and kind of drag it along here. And this is going to clean up anything that's fallen down or went too far down her face. It also, I think it looks really pretty too to have it more of a defined contour. It really frames the face. So see, I just clean up this area here, drag it down.
That feels good.
There we go. And also too, again, it's just makeup, so you never really mess up. You can always fix it. Unless you put black eyeliner on all the way up to here, then I don't think that you can fix that.
God bless your soul.
Yeah, so
I done that today.
so if you ever feel like your highlight is too intense and you want to tone it down, I'm not going to touch hers because I actually like the way it looks. I want it to pick up on camera. But if you ever feel like your highlight's too intense, take that sponge that I just used with whatever powder that you had on it, that translucent powder, and tap over the highlight. And that'll kind of tone it down and make it look more natural. So that's a little trick I like to do. Alright, so I'm going to let that bake or sit on there for a few minutes.
Bake?
Yeah, bake is what they like to call it. So,
What you baking?
also I need to hit the chin with some highlight too. I forgot about that. So anywhere that we applied that concealer, pretty much, you want to apply highlight on as well. So the cheeks, the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, and also right here in the center, I don't like to do it because some people get oily there, and you don't want to accentuate the oils in their face. Even if they don't, you just want to make sure that you don't put highlight in the center, because any oil or anything that you get there, the highlight will accentuate that. So keep it away from the center portion here of the forehead. And I like to hit the chin because it brings the chin forward. Alrighty. If y'all hear somebody walking, it's probably Cody. Okay, so next I'm going to use a mascara. This one's old. I've had it a while. But this right here is probably the best drugstore mascara right now. It's comparable to the Better Than Sex by Benefit. Or Too Faced. I think it's Too Faced.
Too Faced.
Yeah. It's comparable to that. I think they tried to make it a dupe for that, and it is. I like to use this one, but I'm going to use this shorter one. This is just a MAC sample that I got. I really like this one too, but there's no telling how much a full size one is. But it's good. But I actually prefer this one. This one's just easier to work with when I'm doing someone else's makeup.
Madison's so looking cute, Lindsay.
Who?
Madison.
Hey, Madison.
Alrighty, something else too.
Hey, which Madison?
Johnson.
So something else too that I like to do is I don't just apply the mascara to the bottom portion of the eyelids. I like to take and also apply it to the top here. And what that does for you is any glitter or anything that has fallen onto her eyelashes, it'll take that off and make her eyelashes appear darker. So I'm just going to go on top there. So you want them as black as you can get them. And that's exactly what that does. Any like brown tones that have fallen down, any pigment that's fallen down on her eyelashes, you can kind of tell on this one it has. Applying it to the top portion of her eyelid also makes it thicker, but also takes off the eyeshadow color that was on there. But I still do go underneath because if I put false lashes on, you have to put mascara on before. This is another little side note. Put mascara on before you apply false lashes. This way you get longevity of the eyelash that you use. That way you can use the eyelashes again. Because if you apply mascara to the eyelashes, then you're going to have to throw them away after you use them. But if you go ahead and apply, then that way you can reuse those eyelashes.
Tiffany Ken said, "Oh my God, do me." And this is it, Madison.
You can't buy it though.
It's L'Oreal.
You're not allowed to, Madison.
I start to say, yes, you can.
No, she can't.
She said this is her favorite.
No, it's not.
Also, something else too, with any look, lashes are going to make it probably more glam and probably make the eyeshadow stand out more. I say probably, but it is going to. It'll intensify the look. I may apply them, I may not. You guys let me know what you want me to do because I'm not going to get to that part yet. But also with mascara, don't think either that if you get mascara on the top of the eyelid or down here, or down here on the skin, that you've messed up the look completely, because you haven't. What you need to do is you need to just let the mascara dry. Let it dry completely. Don't touch it because it'll smear. So let it dry completely, and when it dries, take a spoolie or any sort of dense brush and kind of sweep away that mascara, and it'll come off in the chunk, and you won't have anything left on there.
Do you prefer to do eyeliner first or mascara first?
I do eyeliner first if I'm doing eyeliner, but I didn't plan on doing it with you. I probably do need to add a little, just that way it makes the eyelashes a little bit thicker. Let me go ahead over here and grab some. Let's see. Alrighty. So with this is an Urban Decay one. It's just a brown one. I've used this a bunch, and I've had to sharpen it a bunch. But I'm just going to take on this edge here. And if I do this, all I'm doing is this is going to help make the eyelashes appear thicker. I don't know if you can tell a difference, but it does help. It doesn't make a huge difference, but it does make the eyelashes appear thicker. And if there's any skin that's showing in between the eyelash and the shadow, this will cover it up, which ultimately, like I said, will make it appear thicker.
He's playing darts, Holly.
Alrighty, and then I'm going to take this mascara, look up for me, and I'm going to apply it, look up, I'm going to apply it to your lower lashes.
I look down.
Okay, so notice there I got some mascara on her skin, which, like I said, is not a big deal. Don't fear. We're going to get it off. So Kylie, I watch, Kylie Jenner, I watch her makeup artist a lot. And what she said is that if you actually get mascara on the skin under there, that it actually makes your under eyelashes, your bottom lashes, appear thicker. So if I can get really close to that waterline and kind of hit it with the mascara wand, I'll do that every now and then with a smoky eye to make it appear thicker. But I do have it right here underneath her skin a little, and I'll show you. I'll take that off here in a few minutes, but not going to touch it. I'm going to let it dry. So I'm going to take a powder brush. This one right here, it's by Morphe. And I'm going to sweep away this powder. And see, it kind of creates a line there and cleans up that bronzer or any contour that we have that's fallen too far down, or maybe I took it too far down. How about Alex's videoing?
Is it A1 job?
Is it A1? Alrighty. So I'm just going to take this flat top again. I keep this in hand at all times. I never put it up because I'm never done with it. I use it after each step of the face. So that's a good tip. Just keep it handy. Don't wipe it off. Don't clean it until you're completely done. I just like to use it to blend everything together and get rid of any lines that I have on the face. Because in pictures, you don't want any lines because from the angles and stuff, you don't want to have any harsh lines. So I just like to hit that bottom portion there. So I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Lindsay was probably, you were the first person, weren't you? When I initially said that I was going to start doing this, or doing it for people, she was actually the first person that I posted a picture of to try and get me some, people that, to let them know pretty much that I was going to start doing it for people.
I think it was Alex and then me.
Yeah, it was.
Was it you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it was Alex then. Either one of them. They both helped me out a lot and
From the beginning.
donated their faces.
We're her lab rats. I like this song.
Alrighty. So we are almost finished. Nobody said anything about lashes, so I'm not going to apply them.
Rebecca said, love watching you do makeup, Carrie. She looked great.
Thank you. Which Rebecca?
Hernandez.
Thanks, Becca. Hey, Becca, I see your dad all the time, and he has to be the sweetest human on the planet.
Besides me.
Well, he's sweeter than her.
She's in.
Notice I go back and forth between brushes too, and I just I hit the face with different shadows and go back over stuff and make sure that I got it looking the way I want it. You can always add or take away. So I like to do that and just look at things and stand back and kind of examine or what I want to change, see if there's anything wrong with it. But it's pretty good right now. So I do feel like that nose contour kind of got lost. So I am gonna add it in just a little bit more with that contour shade instead of the bronze this time. It got lost in the highlight and stuff that I was adding. So I'm gonna go back with this contour shade and I'm gonna get a flat, more dense brush this time. That way I can show you guys a little bit better. So in order to make her nose appear slimmer, you wanna make the lines, maybe I can do it real dark and kind of show you guys what I mean, because I can blend it out later. So I'm gonna grab a lot and I'm gonna turn her head. So if you want to make her nose appear really, really thin, you wanna make the dark lines close together. So the more that you pull apart the lines or the wider you make the space or the bridge of her nose, so the further apart that you put the lines, the more wide your nose is gonna look. So I like to pinch it in as close as I can.
Rebecca said yes. He told me he sees you all the time. Feel free to comment if you need another face to work on, LOL.
Yeah.
And Tiffany said this is fun to watch. Do it more.
I'll try. I'm scared. Like they had to push me to do this one again. I could have backed out. I wanted to back out. But once I get started and actually get to talking about it, if you can't tell, makeup's just kind of my passion and I love to talk about it. So once I get started, it's okay, but it's just getting started. That's why I want a YouTube channel.
Donna Quinn said my granddaughter wants you to do her makeup again for the dance in February.
Well, I'll write her down. What time?
Message her and let her know what date and time.
Yeah. Also, too, if you wanted me to do your makeup for prom and I told you that I would write you down, I need you guys to contact me because I got a new planner. I lost my other one, and I've lost a bunch of appointments, but if you contact me and let me know, I'll go ahead and write you back down. So I'm just applying this real intense right now so you guys can see kind of what I've done. But see, can you see that on the camera? So I've made a really harsh line just so it picks up on the camera. But see how I've made those lines close together, and this highlighted area, I've left it open, just a tiny bit. And then I like to go under the nose, and this makes the tip of her nose come out more, and it gives it the button nose. And then I take like this and take the tip of the brush and kind of put a line right there. And this will lift the tip of the nose up, give that button nose. And once again, like I said, it looks intense, which is fine. I wanted to do that to show you guys. It's not messed up. I can fix it. I'm going to take and blend it out. And if you need help blending it out, if you ever need help and you've lost that powder that's on the flat top, just take your foundation shade powder, get some more.
Ashley said, don't be nervous, you're doing great. I'd love to see more.
Thank you. And just kind of go over that. I got Cody a dartboard for Christmas, and his brother also built like a little pretty much like a case, that way it don't mess up the walls for the garage. So all of our boyfriends and my husband's out there playing darts while we're in here doing this. So see how that, did it take it away?
Yes.
So see how that just kind of toned that back down and made it look more natural? You can do that. Yeah, and if you hear doors slamming or hear any of that, that's them back there. Yeah, it's them. So
There's a ghost.
Last step before I go, we're going to do some lips. I would apply lashes if you guys wanted me to, but since nobody's commented, I won't. It'll save some time. I'm just going to grab a lip liner over here. Let's see. And since this is something else that I like to do, so since I'm just sharpening up my lip
Tiffany
liner.
said do it.
Do what?
The lashes.
All right, I'll do them. Just as long as you stay with us.
I want to see the lashes, Kimber said.
Alrighty.
Madison said the eyeshadow looks so good.
Thanks, girl. I done it myself.
And Brianna Redwine said please for the lashes.
Okay.
No, you really got
Alrighty.
Yep.
So, for lips, this is something I stick by unless someone asks me to do differently. They always kind of leave it up to me most of the time if they don't have a look in mind. And then what I always say is, my one thing is if I have glitter or a lot going on the eyes, I like to keep it neutral on the lips. That way it doesn't take the attention away from what I've done and the work that I've done on the eyes. If I've done more of a natural eye, then I'll do like a darker lip, maybe like a burgundy or a red shade lip. I think that that's really pretty. But since I've done all that work on her eyes there, I'm just going to keep it neutral on the eyelids. She has some drier lips, so I'm going to add some.
I use chapstick all the time.
Well, they're not too dry. I think I just got foundation on them.
Yeah, I think you figure that like my chips. My chips.
Your chips?
My
So
lips
Lindsay
get dry.
stuffed her face before this video. She ate like 2 pieces of pizza in record-breaking time because she knew she wouldn't be able to eat during this video.
What can I say? I like
Somebody
eating.
asked something.
No. I was going to tell you I tricked Ty into putting on lip plumper last night. I was telling him it was chapstick and he was like rubbing it all on his lips. I was like, it started burning. He's like, what did you get me?
Alrighty, so a trick too. If you ever want to make your lips appear fuller and you want to overdraw them, never overdraw your lips on the outer edge because then it'll pick up that you've overdrawn them. So if you want to give more of a pouty look or you want to make your lips appear fuller, you'll want to overdraw them in the center portion. You don't want to overdraw out here on the outer edge because like I said, it'll be more noticeable then. So I'm going to have you do like this. And I'm just going to draw right here a little bit under. And I'm going to kind of apply it on messily. That way I can show you guys what I do. Okay, you can quit doing that. That way I can show you guys what I do to clean it up. And Lindsay moves a lot too while she yawns and moves her mouth. So this takes skill.
Monica said this is a great New Year's look. Or I love this look for New Year's.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as I was doing this, Monica. I was thinking, well, it's kind of good that I did use glitter because I planned on doing something like this for New Year's. So, but I'll probably use more of a silver shade for glitter.
To the confetti?
Yeah.
Francie said, will you list all the products you used?
I will. So I'll list them as I'm finishing up her lips here. So let me go ahead and talk about these lips first, what I'm doing and why I'm leaving the center portion, then I'll list everything. I'll list everything at the end when we finish, so we'll get a recap of all of it. So I kind of filled in right here on the outer portion of her lips. I've taken that and I've left the center open, and the reason for that is I always want to make the lips appear larger than they are. So by doing this and leaving the center open, I'm going to apply a lighter shade to the center, and it's just going to give it a fuller appearance. And also, I'm applying lip liner first because this is just going to help with the longevity of the lipstick that I apply here in just a few minutes. And also with an upper lip, if you have a hard time seeing the edge and it's not that defined, if you'll just take and kind of press on her upper lip there, not really pull it, just kind of press, it'll make that stick out so you can see that line and that edge there.
Oh. Finger slipped.
Huh?
My finger slipped.
So again, I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the bottom lip there. I'm just going to go ahead and define this portion. And I'm only doing the outer edge, or filling in the outer edge is what I mean. And leaving the center open. These lip liners are really good too. This is in the shade, do I have a chunk of it in there? Sorry. So this is in the shade Soft Brown. And it's by NYX or NYX, whatever you want to call it. I like this one a lot. It's a good brownish nude color.
Chastity Hewlett said, Cody says, hey, and where's Sherry?
Sherry went home with her puppy. Sherry doesn't pay me any attention anymore now that she got a new dog.
She has a new kid.
Yeah. And then now I'll take a lighter pinkish tone nude, and this will go right in the center. It's just a little bit lighter than that other one. It doesn't need to stick out too much. It's just a shade lighter. So you might not even be able to notice it, but it's a little bit of detail that it will make the difference without being like too harsh. It's just gonna go in the center. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna take, all my lipsticks and stuff are over here, so I'm just gonna grab one real quick to show you guys. See if I can find my lip brush. Here we go. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take on the back of my hand here, take this color, and this is a soft matte lip cream, and it's in the shade London. I have a few of these because this one's my favorite color that they have out. It's a really comfortable lip too. It's matte, but it's not too matte, and it's not drying on the lips. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this everywhere over top of that liner, and like I said, applying a liner first and going ahead and not just lining like the outer portion but lining the whole lip will help with longevity and long wear. I think this is just a pretty natural shade. Open your mouth just a little so I can get those edges. I didn't really overdraw her upper lip any because I feel like they're pretty defined. It's pretty defined, so I don't feel like she needs it. Then I'm going to take this Maybelline one. This is one of their new ones. It's called Matte Ink, the Superstay one, and it is in the shade 05 Loyalist. This one's a little more drying though, so I just usually apply it to the center. You can see the difference in color. It's not that much of a difference.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I want that.
It's a pretty shade. It looks like a gloss, but it'll dry down matte. So I'm just going to put it in the center. It might not pick up on camera like the light that it's bringing to the lip, but it does make a difference. And also another little hack or trick that I've learned is if you don't have a lighter shade or you just can't reach for it at the moment, instead of just using a lighter shade, put your lipstick on, take that concealer that you used under your eyes, take your ring finger and just pat it in the center, and then apply that lip liner back over it some to blend, and that does the same job. It does the same thing. So I'm going to go back into this darker shade here with the same brush and just kind of make sure that the edges are blended out and that we have no harsh lines. Even on the lips, you don't want harsh lines. I'm thinking about doing like a makeup Halloween look, even though Halloween's past. I'd like to do one of the skulls that I did on her. I'd like to show everybody how I did that because we had a really good time with it, but it's just making sure that the video is not that long because there's a lot of detail that goes into that. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to set everything in place. So I like to hold it just a little bit away here. I don't like to get too close to her face. And what this does is it locks the makeup in, but it also takes all the powders that we've laid on her face and made it look more natural and soaks it into the skin so that you don't have a powdery appearance or a dried appearance on your face.
Takes my breath away. I think I'm gonna get a spray tan.
Smells good.
It does smell good. I forgot they said they wanted lashes. I thought we were almost done.
I forgot.
Let me grab. We're almost there though. But you will see lashes do make a difference. So these lashes that I'm going to use are the only pair that I have because I haven't had a client. I got one the 30th that I'll have to go buy some for. But these are just, they came in a holiday set and I wanted to use them up, but they're not very good. I don't like them. I don't know what brand they are. But what I like to do, I'm going to come back in the light. What I like to do with these is I like to take the edge, see how it's really long. I don't leave them that long. I kind of size them up to her eye, and since I've done her makeup before, I know about how long they need to be. So I'll just take and I'll cut a portion off. That way it goes more with her eye. And it should be more comfortable wearing too.
Monica said do it, and Ashley said yes about the Halloween.
Oh yeah, I need to. Halloween looks are fun for me, and I really hadn't done it on anybody but Lindsay. But I enjoy it. It gives me a chance to be creative. And also with lash glue, so when you first get a lash, notice that it's more straight, the band is straight. But if you'll take and kind of bend and flex that band like this, it kind of goes with the shape of the eye more, and it makes those ends not stick up or poke you in the eye. And the reason why I'm waiting is because you need to let the lash glue get tacky, that way it sticks to the eye and doesn't pop off when you apply it. You just gotta wait a couple of seconds and let that lash glue get like really tacky, and it'll stick better. And also, something that I've just currently started doing, instead of making her close her eye completely, which is what you need to do if you're doing your own lashes too. Don't close your eye completely. Just make sure that you look down, because if you close your eye completely, number one, you're not going to see exactly where you're putting the lash. And also, I've learned that you will be less likely to glue the lash or your eyelid closed, your eye closed, if you go ahead and keep it. Look down for me. Keep it closed. And I'm just kind of holding it in place. And notice that, well, see, this is why I don't like these lashes, because they pop off some. So I'm just going to hold it for just a second, but it's okay. Might need to apply a little bit more glue to the outer edge. So one thing with eyelashes too, what I was trying to say was, when you apply the eyelash, you want to try to get it as close. Just keep looking down for me. Try not to move your eye. Let that dry. So with eyelashes, you want to apply it to the root of the lash, not the skin. That's going to make it look more natural, and people are not going to pick up on the fact that you're wearing fake eyelashes as much as they would if you went ahead and applied it to the skin. It's going to make those natural lashes blend better. So I'm just going to give that a second to dry before I mess with it at all. I'll go ahead and blend it together with the other one, put some more mascara on there. I know I said not to put mascara on the lash, but if you don't plan on wearing the lashes anymore, it's fine. You can do that. This is white glue, which is showing up right now, but when it dries, it goes transparent. You can't see it. It's a duo glue. You can get it at Walgreens or CVS too. And like I said, here in just a minute, I'll name everything. Will you hand me that other lash right there? I'll name everything that I used at the end of this video. Here, let me get it. Okay, so again, I'll just show you how I cut this one. Take this off. So, take it. And I don't cut the outer portion, because the outer portion is where you get the most wispiness and the longest part of the lash. So you want to leave that because it kind of gives a cat eye appearance. So I just cut this part off. And like I said, you can hold the lash up to your eye and kind of see how long you need to cut it so that it fits your eye. I think the boys are dying to come in here. They've came to the bathroom like a million times. I think they're dying to come in here and see what we're doing. So again, we're going to let this dry. And we're going to hold it just like this. If you ever get too much glue right there, just take your finger and kind of take some of it off, because I got too much.
Me too. It squirted on my finger.
Did you squirt it on your... Oh, no. Let it dry and you'll peel it off. So, if you notice, I'm still letting it dry, so I'm not messing with it yet. But notice how it's not on her skin, but you can still see the space between her natural lash and then the false one. See that space? That's fine. Because here in a second, I'm going to take, when it's completely dry, don't mess with it until it's dry. But once it's dry, I'm going to take my fingers. You can use tweezers, but I don't like using tweezers on other people because I don't like getting that close to their eyeball with them. But I'll take my fingers and pinch the lash with her natural lash, and that will just blend them together. Are you okay?
Because my eye's itching.
Don't scratch it.
I'm talking about my actual eyeball.
Oh. You probably look crazy on camera doing that. Alright, so she's not going to close her eye completely. She's just going to look down. It's probably going to be hard to get this on camera with my So again, not applying it to the skin as much as we can, or as close to the lash line as we can here. I'm trying to hurry this video and not letting the glue dry like I should, but it's still working out. It's still sticking. And notice there, I got some glue. She don't need to look up yet. Keep your eye closed. She don't need to look up yet, but in a second you'll see it if you can't already. I got some white glue right there on the actual lash. It'll dry, but if it don't, I can take some mascara, black mascara, and just run over it, and it'll blend it, and you won't even be able to tell that it was there. So, like I said before, I'm making her keep her eyes closed now after I've put it on, just to let it dry, because she moves her eyes a lot, so I don't want it to pop off. But anyways, don't mess with your lash until after it's completely dried down, because if you go to pinching it and moving your lash around, then you're going to take the lash off. And you don't want to do that after you've just worked so hard to get it put on. So you want to try and wait as long as you can, and kind of let that glue dry. That way it doesn't mess it up when you go to pinching the lashes actually together. I think I'm going to add a little bit of a gloss to her lip as well, because I feel like it needs a little something on there. This is a buxom gloss. NYX has a really pretty shade that you can get at Walgreens. This came in the holiday collection. It's the quickest one I grabbed. But NYX has a really pretty shade. It's called Natural. I use it on just about everybody, especially for weddings, because it's the perfect neutral shade. But I like to use it, and it's really inexpensive. I think it's like $4. So I'm just going to add a little bit there. This is the nude shade. It's pretty. And two, with your gloss, if you just feel like you need a little something extra and you don't necessarily want to put it all over, if you just apply it to the center, go ahead and rub that together a little bit. Apply it more to the center and not so much on the outer edge. Okay. And that gloss will make the lips appear fuller as well. Okay. Let me see. Alrighty. Glue's almost dry, and then we'll be almost done. I'll just go back over the products, and then we'll be good to go. I'm going to take and hit her nose with this highlight brush just to add some more back into her nose. Alrighty, so that glue should be just about dry. Go ahead and look up for me. Alrighty, so see right here on this outer portion, look at the camera. So right here, it's not completely together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, she'll close her eye, and I'm literally just going to take my fingers and pinch that lash together, open. See, it brings it down, and then you can't see it anymore. Okay. There's no space in between right there. I'll add some more mascara so that you can't see her actual lash, but I was just trying to show you the space there. There's no more space, which is a good thing. You don't want there to be a difference between the natural lash and the fake lash. So I'm going to take some more mascara to go ahead and blend it further. Blend that in. And like I said, look down for me. Try to cover up this glue here. Alrighty. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And this is just
prom ready.
She does look prom ready. Alrighty, and another
miss
thing,
prom.
Another thing too that we can do to make sure there's no separation. Look up. Let me sharpen this real quick before I do that. I don't want to poke her eye out. There's a little bit of a space between the inner corner and her actual lash line, or the eyelash. So what you can do for that is you can take, look up, you can take and kind of take that eyeliner, go right here on the inner portion, and it helps just blend it in together some, and there's no space. I like to do that. I feel like it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Kind of blends it better. Okay, look at the camera real quick. What's it look like? Does it look good, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a little bit more of that to this side here. Do some more right here.
Must be getting intense all day.
Alrighty. Also, let me get up here some. I just like to go in when I'm finished with everything, kind of make sure everything's blended. And also one more trick that I was going to show you guys before I go and name everything is if you messed up on your lips and you have a gloss or a matte shade or anything that you're wanting to fix, if you went outside the lines on your lips, take that concealer on the back of your hand. Pick a concealer that's closer to your skin tone for this. It'll be easier to blend out. But like right here on the bottom, I've got a little bit of it on her actual skin and not her lips. So if you go underneath here, just kind of clean that up around the edges. It actually makes the lipstick look a lot better to me too. It defines it more. And then I'll take just a flat brush. I'm dropping stuff back here.
Are you gonna clean up that mascara? Show me how you do
Yep, I will. I forgot about that. I'm glad you said that. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out.
Quit singing.
Singing while I'm doing lips. So like you.
Hey, it helps.
So I
With
just
the
blended
shape.
that out, and that shapes up the lips there.
Told you.
And also, Alex just brought up about the mascara falling there. I'm going to go ahead and take this brush that I just used for concealer. So look up for me. I don't know if you can even see it. Is it
No,
picking up?
barely.
Look up for me. There's a little bit of mascara down here.
All she's using is concealer.
And see, it's gone. So I just was patient. I let the mascara dry wherever I got it on the skin. And then I took this brush. Any brush will do. I usually use a spoolie if it's on the face. And just wipe away that mascara when it dries. And it'll come off in a chunk as opposed to smearing on the face. So that's it. We're finished. I'll go ahead and recap everything of what we used real fast. I don't know. Is it picking up? Final look?
Yeah. That's good.
We tried with the lighting. Alrighty, so just to recap what we used, I'll grab my stuff here. We got a mess going right here. So for foundation, I mixed with her because she's in between shades. So I used 102, which is the lightest shade that the Matte and Poreless line has. They have a bunch of different colors. I'll let Alex get close up and show you that. Okay, and then I used 120. And here's the shades down here. So this is the Matte and Poreless, not the, oh, sorry, I didn't say that. The Matte and Poreless, it's not the dewy. Okay, and then next for concealer. Let's see if I can find it. Alrighty, I used this shade right here. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Again. I used a whole bunch of that line. The name's rubbed off on it, but the shade is right here. It's the number 10 in the shade Light. They do have a fair if you have more of a pink undertone skin. That would be good for you, but this is more for like an olive yellow base skin type. This will highlight you under your eyes well. Then for bronze and contour, I used this to bronze. This is L'Oreal's bronzer. It's in the shade 02 Medium. And the shade is right there on the back. And it's called the Glam Bronzer. And then also for contour, I use this e.l.f. palette. This is just called their bronzer palette, but I use it for contour for the this shade right here. Notice there's a shimmer shade right here. I don't use that for contour. Never put a shimmer in your contour because you want to create a shadow. You don't want to bring light to that, so you don't want to shimmer in the sockets of your cheekbone there. And then next, I'll go ahead and show you this translucent powder. This is the translucent powder. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the shade... So we were saying this was in transparent. I think transparent is the lightest one that they have, but to keep from having a stark white under the eyes, I use Fair 05, and it keeps from having like a real white cast underneath it. And it's the loose setting powder. And then this is from the Fit Me, also matte and poreless line, and it's in the shade 120, which is the same color that we mixed in with her actual foundation shade. And this is actually a foundation pressed powder. So I used it as well, and like I said, it's in 120. It's the matte and poreless. And then for blush, I use the Wet n Wild Color Iconic. And it is in pearlescent pink. Okay. Thank you. Another really good blush too that I didn't use but I should have. It was sitting over here with all my other stuff. This is probably the most popular blush at the drugstore. It's Luminoso by Milani, and it's in 05, and the shade is Luminoso, but it's a really pretty orangish coral shimmer color. Let's see what else I use. I also wanted to give a shout out to this foundation because I haven't been using it long.
I use it.
But it is really good. I would recommend it if you were wanting a full coverage. This is a good one, and the longevity of it is really good. So this one, I have shade light, and I have one that's a shade darker, I think.
Covers up your acne really well.
Yes.
It does.
Let's
I
see,
use
what
it.
am I missing? So next, I'll go ahead and talk about mascara since I got it out. So this is the one, I didn't use this one in it, but this is the one that I can recommend to you guys that you can go pick up at Walgreens. All of this stuff you can get at Walgreens or CVS, by the way. So this is from L'Oreal also, and I think it's their Lash Paradise. It's just the voluminous, yeah, it's Lash Paradise. And it's in the shade black. They have brown too. I like to use brown. I don't have it, but I've used it for the everyday kind of look. But I also use this one. It's just the MAC 3 Dimension. It's just a sample size though, and I like it a lot. Let's see. And then I use this Urban Decay. It's in the shade Corrupt as the eyeliner shade. And then for the glitter, I'll go ahead and talk about the glitter. Hopefully I don't make too big of a mess. So I have every shade of these glitters that NYX has come out with, and this is in the shade Bronze. This is my personal favorite. It's in shade, if you look at this, it's 08, but the shade is actually called Bronze. They have a bunch of different colorful shades, and like I said, I have all of them because I love them. But I use this to put it on with. And this is also from NYX, and it's the glitter glue. The glitter adhesive, whatever you'd like to call it. What else am I missing, guys? And then this for lips. This is the NYX Soft Matte in the shade London. And it's the Soft Matte Lip Cream. And then this is for the eyes. You have to order this online. This is, I think, the only thing that I use that you can't find at like a drugstore other than the eyeliner that I barely used. But this is the 35O palette. It's the very first palette that Jaclyn Hill came out with and collabed with Morphe. So I use this, and it's the one that has shimmer and the mattes in it. Like I said, it's the first one, and it's the 35O, and it was just $22. I thought it was a pretty good price for that many eyeshadows in it. And then also, I just use this eyeshadow not on her lid, but just add a little more highlight to her face. This is from L'Oreal. They have a bunch of different colors in it. It's one of their infallible shades, and it's in the shade Iced Latte. It does sound good. And then I have a Wet n Wild that I use, and it's Precious Petals. And it's the pinky tone one. They have a gold, and then they have a champagne. But this is the highlight that everybody talks about that they love, and it's $3. You can't really beat that, and I prefer it over any high-end one that I do own. So I really like this a lot. And Precious Petals. Is that it?
I think so.
And then also the setting spray is just the Master Fix, and it's by Maybelline. I think this might actually be the priciest thing that I use, and it was, I think, just like $12 or $13, which is kind of high for drugstore, but it does work. It's probably the best one. L'Oreal has an infallible one too, but I prefer this one over it because it's not as matte as the L'Oreal one. And I think that that'll pretty much do it. And oh yeah, all the brushes that I use too. Shout out my mother-in-law because she just got me the Morphe set, the Jaclyn Hill favorites. It's the Morphe set from her, and I love these. But I still do use my little Walmart ones that are beat all to pieces, that I don't even know the brand anymore. But I use Real Techniques as well, and that's what I started out with. Real Techniques. I'll show you this little brush. It comes from Walmart. They have a bunch of different ones. This is a buffing brush that I used so much. That you can't beat these brushes for the price. I really do like them a lot. And the lip liner that I used, I can't find it right now, but it was NYX in the shade Soft Matte or something like that. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was fun, and hopefully I'll get to do another one if I don't chicken out in the future.
Next week.
Maybe. Alrighty, thank you.